pick all of your... Oh, wait, we're on air. Okay. So here we are again to play The Fall of Magic, the Magus' sexy tours of the magical lands. This is our third session of 3, although we were just saying off air that we may take longer and play some more. The last time we were playing, we were traveling on the ice rail, and because we love to punish our characters and ourselves, apparently we gave up our characters gave up. It was the most important, or like a defining part of their character and personality.
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, I think it was I think you and Sid teamed up on that one, actually. You both made it worse. All of our characters gave up a major part, or the most important part of themselves. My character, Justice, the fugitive of Stormguard, gave up her ability to lie, or her will to lie, because she's been, I think that's what's, I guess, defined her character and her life a lot up until this point. What did Vargo give up, Ellen?
Yeah, it might have appeared to some that he just gave up his vegetarian lifestyle, but he actually has given up his compassion for animals and the story.
No!
Yes.
Yeah, I actually want to cry all over again just thinking about that.
You only have yourself to blame, Sid. You deserve this.
I also have Lauren to blame.
Lauren, you only have yourself and Sid to blame.
I do. I'm so very sad about what happened. All the same.
What did Harp give up, Lauren? Harp, the Fox of Mistwood.
I think Harp gave up like a weird mix of stuff. They gave up the last of their magic, which they believe is needed as part of the ritual to turn them back into a fox. But they kind of also, with that, have given up on the idea of home and returning home. Yeah, and it's feeling a bit empty as a result of it.
And it was that she didn't recognize some other Mistwood Fox locals. Like, she's given up like everything.
Yeah,
like her connection to the forest and all of that stuff through that action, I guess.
Yeah, I think like the memories were fading to begin with. So I think this, like, what she gave up is just like the last breath of all those memories and that magic and all of that stuff.
It's so much worse than I thought it was.
I know we could have like played this out and stuff, but I think like we can still do that, and it'll be kind of cool to know what page everyone's on, like where they're all coming from with those things, because I guess they're quite complicated, like character things. Yeah. What about Elamira, the Raven of Ravenhall?
Elamira, the Raven of Ravenhall, has given up as the most important thing to her you guys. She gave up all memories of you. It's been expressed that she has memories of doing the trip out to the ice rail, but not of why or with anyone. You've just kind of been erased from her past. I miss you already.
So tragic.
Just my most important thing, my most Lauren said, you know, the most defining part of you. That's you, Lou.
Did you hear that, Alan? I was just wailing. I also spent I lost the knack of it again now. I've got to watch the YouTube video again, but I was trying to learn how to do a sad Chewbacca sound during the week, but I've lost it again now. It was like
Oh, that's so good.
But I can't. I was a few times I did it like really good. I want to do it for that one moment that I told Ellen that she had to make a sad Wookiee sound.
I just want to point out this is now the third game in a row that Lauren has been painting her nails while we're playing.
I was gonna say last time I really like it because I'm really sensitive to like acetone. Like it gives me like an instant headache pretty much, but it's actually really nice for me to like watch someone painting their nails because normally I don't like get to do it because I just have to like leave the immediate area.
Well, I'm glad. I'll make sure I do it like a bit more above board so you guys actually see it.
Yeah. It turns into one of those tactile like nail painting videos.
Totally. It's only because I buy like shitty cheap nail polish and then I like lose bits of it. I'm like, well, I like multitasking, so hopefully you guys don't mind too much. I'm sorry if it bothers you.
No,
I love it.
I am paying attention.
Cool. Yeah. So I think the last that we saw, we had all jumped off the ice rail as it flew into Estalia and gently floated down onto the platform, which is one of the rumors that it was actually something that Elamira totally made up on her way here that turned out to be true of the ice rail coincidentally.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, you don't. Who would like to? It feels like maybe it is Ellen's turn to be the Magus, or that would be funny. Do you want to be the Magus, Ellen? No? Does anybody want to describe Estalia and the hospitality of the Gilded One from the perspective of the Magus?
I have an idea. Or at least it wants to.
Yeah, seems like Lauren's keen to go.
We kind of described Estalia on at the end of the last.
Yeah, we
like
did,
it was kind of in a snow globe with a lot of
the snow was on the outside, and it was kind of like fantasy Venice inside of a dome.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, with lots of like riverways reflecting the golden buildings of Estalia. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so what does the Magus do now and show us the hospitality of the Gilded One?
Yeah. So I guess we approach it as our usual cohort of like ragtag people who are now missing a lot of themselves as we venture forward. And I like to think that we disembark from the ice rail. It's still very snowy and treacherous. But even like right up until we get to like the dome of Estalia. And as we approach it, there doesn't seem to be a way in. You can only really tell the entrance by the fact that there are like sentinel guards standing either side of a path that leads into Estalia. But of course, and for perhaps some of us who've been here before, you may know how to get in. The Magus definitely does. For the Magus stops in front of like the stone barrier. And is gestured by the sentinel and steps the dome, and you get this cool sort of like ripply effect. Kind of like, you know, when you make what's that crap called when you're like slime? Like, you know how like if you hit that slimy stuff from school, like it is real hard.
Oh, it's a
but-
non-Newtonian snow globe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the cornstarch. Like
Yeah, the cornstarch stuff. So it's like when the snow hits it, the dome is like solid and structured. But then if you carefully pass through it, then you are fine. Kind of. I dig that aesthetic. So Harp anyway is a bit suspicious of this, but then eases up once she sees the Magus step through it. And I think, unlike other times we visited places, the Gilded One is ready for us. And there is a procession of guard who are dressed in white and gold and very well armed, but very quiet. It's a very quiet place, which makes sense given its nature, with no wind, no external forces impacting upon it. It's a very constructed city. And I think we see a very tall, androgynous individual standing at the end of this rows of guards. They glisten in the light we have. And they do appear from head to toe in gold and aren't clothed in much beyond what is necessary to maintain modesty. I think this time the Magus approaches, as does the Gilded One. And when they speak, it is a very metallic, bit soft, kind of like gold in its true form. And I think the Gilded One says to the Magus, what's his name again? Marty? I forget what our Magus's name is.
Monty?
Monty, yeah. The Gilded One doesn't smile. I don't think they express themselves very much, but they do greet Monty in a pleasant tone with, Monty. We've been expecting you for some time. In fact, you're a little bit later than we expected. Please, come with me to my palace, where you shall make yourself at home. And I think the Gilded One rests a palm on the Magus's cheek and says, I have missed you so. Please come. And when they take their hand away, they leave behind like flecks of gold in their wake. And I think it's a very eerie affair after the cold welcoming of is it Elandra? Or whoever was the Storm God Queen? To the point where it's a bit eerie and a bit unnerving and unsettling. Alana, yes, Alana. For they welcome us with no resistance and only pleasantries in this apparent utopia. Sorry, that was a real ramble, I'm sorry.
No, it was fantastic.
I think Harp at the back, Elamira just leans over to you, like seeing all these guards and the Gilded One come to greet them, and just is like, Are we royalty?
It's just a Harp, sorry?
Yeah, it was just a little splash. It didn't. It wasn't a question so much. It was just a little.
I think Harp does pat Elamir on the head and it's like, child, you may not be royalty, but you are special.
Aww.
And and what I'm trying to go for is like the whole an eerie utopia that probably has a dark undercurrent that we're yet to discover. But I'm looking forward to it if it goes that way.
I was thinking that too for some reason. Any society that has a gilded one as a leader, it just for some reason suggests that there's going to be other people that are less shiny and don't have as much.
Exactly.
I look
Maybe
forward to
something-
meeting the silver one and the bronze one.
Yeah.
And the copper one.
Mm.
And the tin and the iron.
Tin Man. Who's keen to go next? Oh, the tarnished one, good one.
Tarnished one is actually really fucking good. I am. Oh man. No, I'm gonna have to wait. I gotta pick one, and I'm not there yet.
Do you want to go, Ella?
Sure. What is this symbol next to the marketplace of magic?
Good question. It's that's a change. That means change. So you essentially anything that's written on your character sheet. So I don't think we added some to some people earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
Attributes, but you can essentially remove.
I had kind. I'm gonna remove kind.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you.
I think someone's beautiful or fierce or something.
I know Harper's cunning.
Yeah.
We hacked the game and we gave someone cunning and someone kind.
Yeah.
Also, you can remove anything else from your character sheet if you go to the change thing. So you could remove your name, or you could remove the place that you're from, or you could no longer be, like, for example, the Raven of Ravenhall. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's quite a powerful
this game is so fucking good.
Yeah, I know. In terms of not really, the mechanics are sparse, but they're all actually really work and are heaps cool. Yeah. Is that where you're going, Vargo?
Yeah. Vargo's there.
Is anyone else there with you?
I think Elamura's probably following me around.
Yep.
In terms of, like, I look big and soft and friendly, and for someone who doesn't recognize anyone else, anyone, she's probably looking for a comfort teddy bear, and I just happen to be a big giant teddy bear looking creature. Unfortunately for Elamura, this has come at a really bad time. Vargo once was kind and cuddly and friendly, but he's lost all that now. So the Magus has gone off with the Gilded One and sent the party to gather supplies. And Vargo's feeling quite lost and angry and frustrated with being in this, weird city that seems to be all completely constructed. He's not been anywhere so big and so bustling. And so he's going through the marketplace and he's, eating some, street meat, and he's looking at all these shiny bracelets, and he's getting quite drawn to the lavish decoration on all the items in the marketplace. And everything has a really strange feel to it. There's when he's picking up different items to feel them and get a better look at them, he can feel some sort of energy from some of these items, and the stall holders are yelling out weird things like, best visibility pendant this side of the river, and like he's getting these strange ideas that these items that they're selling can hold some magic. And he's aware that we're on a journey to save magic, so he's thinking that maybe they won't have to continue their journey if he finds the right item here. Maybe that he could give to the magus. And so he finds himself like hunched over this small wooden table. It's got a old cloth covering it as a roof, and there's an old woman in there, and she calls him by name. Vargo, you come here, son. This is for you. This will save your journey. And he picks up what the woman has given him, and it's a leather bag, and inside the leather bag there are crystals of different colors, and he's not sure what it is. And he's like, okay, this is great. This saves my journey. How much is that? Like, he's got some coin from the magus, and this woman points to Elamura. This is the cost. Vargo looks at Elamura and nods. Elamura, how are you feeling about this?
Man, I feel like cornered, like a cornered animal. Like, I think Elamura's like eyes go wide, and she takes like a step backwards, and she bumps into like a table behind her, and it shocks her, and she like jumps forward and spins around and looks at it, and that puts her back into Vargo's legs, and so she realizes she's touched him, and she freaks out again, and she's like looking left and right, and like can't find a way out. She's like a startled deer, and she like just overwhelmed, just like sits on the ground and starts crying, just like terror bawling.
So Vargo has this leather satchel in his hand. He looks at the people that are capturing you, and he just nods and walks away.
Man.
And you're no longer kind. Do you want to continue some kind of scene here, Sid, or do you want to let it cliffhanger there for a little while? Or
oh man, I know where it's going.
Yeah.
So I might let it hang for a
yeah, cool.
That's a great idea.
Sweet. I'm gonna jump in and have a go, I think. Oh. What am I going to do though? I've already. Okay. I'm going to the wharf. So I think maybe Justice even she follows Vargo and Elamira for a little while, but they're I don't know, they start to annoy her after a while, I think, and she's like, I've been traveling with these people for like ages. I should, you know, go off and like have a time by myself. So she kind of just follows her feet and her nose a little bit, and she ends up at kind of one of her old haunts from when she used to ride the ice rail to Astalia in the past on drug business, when she travelled to collect the dream crystals and take them back to like to Stormguard and maybe Barley Town and stuff. So she ends up down at the wharves, and I think maybe the wharves are partially underneath the dome, and then like so where the actual docks are within the dome, and there's all workers in there, and then you kind of have to walk out through the dome to where like the big docks and like big ships and stuff are. And I don't think a lot of ships like travel across the ocean. I think maybe they travel down and up the coast. But yeah, so there's ships coming in, like Astalia is a big trading place. There's ships with all like cool different coloured sails and stuff. And I think we see Justice kind of walk like right out along a pier, like far out onto the pier, and she sits down and I think maybe looks down into the water, kind of echoing like one of those early scenes of looking down at her like face in the water, but now we kind of know her a bit better now. And yeah, I think we get that shimmering, you know, water ripple memory effect, and the face in the water is a much younger face. Like even I think maybe she's Justice who's like 14 or 15 or something like that, and she's I guess she's sitting there with her mother like on the dockside, and maybe a couple of her siblings, and like it's a really bright sunny day, and they're looking out at the water, like they're probably eating something and just talking about the time that they've had there together. And I think it's just been like a holiday, or they're visiting family or something. Then I think the mother and that kind of go off, and she's wandering around by herself, and this I guess it's also, I should say, I do the prompt properly. I guess this is like the first time that that Justice, or what is her actual name, Fawn? Her mother calls her Fawn. It's the first time Fawn's seen the ocean before, so she's talking. She's all excited and just like a kid. But when she's separated from her family after a while, I think this woman approaches her, and she's pretty much like, "Oh, do you want to earn some easy money, girl? You look really cute. You have a really you have a face that people would trust easily. No one would think that you would do anything wrong with there." And it's like Fawn she kind of, you know, shrugs, and the woman puts out this bag into one hand, and like Fawn opens it up, and it's just like heavy with gold, and she's like, "What? Like it's so much money." And I think the woman's like, "All you have to do is carry this other tiny little pouch back with you to Stormguard. And yeah, then I think it just cuts and we see her maybe we see some people kind of getting on the train, checking people like customs officers on the train, but they kind of don't bother her and her family because, you know, they don't look like the type. Maybe they talk to them on the way there or something. They don't like profile her. Yeah. Anyway, that's Justice seeing the ocean for the first time and beginning her life of crime.
Wow. That was awesome. I'm going to try and follow you, even though that is going to be fucking hard. I'm going to go to... I'm also going to the wharf. And we see Elamura like shackled around her neck, and the like in a line of people chained to each other, and they're being marched through this section of Estalia that's like under the canals, like the water sits. It's at water level, walking underneath where the buildings would be, and from down there you can see that the water doesn't look as blue. It's got like a green algae tinge to it, and the canals are all like dirty and have like moss and stuff growing on it. There's barnacles and things like that grow like along this area, and it leads out off a short turn. Actually, I think Elamura probably turns to one of the people marching them, one of her captors, and is like, you better let me go. I'm special. I know the Gilded One. And she's trying to like remember what the connection is. She's like, I know a guy, and the Gilded One really likes him. So you better let me go, or you'll get in a lot of trouble. And it just sounds so implausible because she can't remember any of the details. It's just broad strokes. And I think the guy just like slaps her upside her bald head and just like leaves a big red handprint on the side of her head. And they're marched out onto the wharf, and she keeps like talking and hassling him and giving him shit. And he turns to her and he's like, I'm sick of hearing this. And he pulls out a bit of cloth and he gags her. And then he puts a bag, like a cloth sack, over her head. And as soon as he does that, we see Justice like walk past her, unable to recognize her with her face obscured and mouth full.
Aww.
And we can see like Justice's scene looking over into the water happening in the back of this one. And the captor continues to march Elamura until they get to the wharf. And he looks at them all and says, well, this will be a fine batch for the this will be a fine batch for the spies of Crow Hall, and starts like walking them onto a slaver's ship to be sent across the sea.
Yay!
Justice does nothing.
Awesome.
Does that mean it's me?
Gotta be.
Nice. Well, screw you guys, because I'm also liking the wharf.
Best friends at the wharf.
I'm
And
the
they never left Estalia again.
Just do Steve at the wharf for the next 3 weeks.
So I think this scene starts a little bit just before the wharf. I think the Magus and the Gilded One and Harp are kind of talking. And the Gilded One is talking about like, Magus, you must come down to the vineyards to see the golden grapes. Don't you remember that wine we shared together? It was such a good vintage. Even though like that doesn't make sense because the climate here is temperate and every vintage is the same vintage, since the soil is the same, etc. And Harp kind of like tunes out, and since they realize after a time they can't breathe, the air is just too cloying and stale and stagnant. And so Harp excuses themselves by saying like, I feel terrible, I can't breathe, and so she sort of like books it out to the wharf area where that isn't shrouded in this dome. And as she sort of busts out into the wharf, she's sort of like gulping in cold breaths of like salty sea air, and it feels so good to have that wind in her face again, even if it is cold and a bit snowy and all that stuff. And as she's catching her breath, she looks down because at her feet, she can feel something at her feet, and it's this little like a tiny automaton, like robot-y thingy, like a little tiny golem, made of copper. But since she surmises that since these little automaton golems spend a lot of their time on the docks, they've just oxidized, so their exterior is very like green and faded. It's nothing like the Gilded One. Like they're obviously like the really lower tier class of little automatons, and so she looks down at it and gives it a poke and says, I do apologize, am I in your way? And the little automaton like has a real cute little like a little robot-y voice and is like, yes, ma'am, like please excuse me. I must tend to my my chores that I must do. I moved to put all the stuff on the ship. And then she sort of like crouches down and looks at it because she's never seen something like this before, let alone the sea. This is the first time she's ever encountered the ocean. And she like pokes it in his forehead. She's like, what are you? I've never seen something like you before. You seem imbued with magic, but yet you are alive. And the little robot is like, I am but a servant. I am just here to execute the will of the Gilded One. And I love it very much. It is the best job ever. I'm very happy where I am. She says, interesting, you would call this place home to my eyes, I do apologize, but you appear to be somewhat of a slave. And this is indeed my home. I am very happy here. And she sort of squints at it a bit, and she's like, how odd. For I have just lost my home, and yet I don't think I would miss it as much if I were in your shoes, little one. And then the like little automaton robot is like, oh, you are lost? Where is home for you? She says, I do not know if you are familiar with this point of reference, but I come from somewhere in the woods, in the mist woods. It's far from the ocean. There is no salt or anything. You would probably still look as shiny as the day you were made. And then the little automaton like sort of cocks his little robot-y head to the side. It's like, interesting. I cannot process what the concept would mean to be without salt. That was what we run on. We run on salt water. And then the automaton ponders Harp for a moment and says, if you have lost your home, I would encourage you to take this. And it like out from its little chest, like pops a little like compass. And Harp picks it up and looks at it in a very weird way because this compass is rusted. There is nothing. It does not point in any direction. She like gives a tap and she's like, you are full of jokes and whimsy, for this thing is obviously broken. As broken as you appear to be, little one. But it says, no. Just trust me. Take this and You will find your way home again. That's why I found my home here. I'm very happy. Oh, please, I must be about my way. And then I like Hob steps aside, like taps his compass again and shakes her head, and then watches it go. It doesn't have a name. They don't have names. They're just things.
Yes. So good.
I was all about it until it didn't have a name, and then I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Oh.
Yeah, they're just an underclass of like golems that are there to serve. What purpose would names bring?
Then I
We
could
must stay out the wharves until we find the little guy again and give it a name.
So, Ellen, what does Vargo do at the wharf?
Vargo's not going to the wharf. That's where the friends hang out. He's not a friend.
Lou, can you kick Ellen from the call? She doesn't want to come to the wharf.
Okay, where's the option for that? And eject.
Okay, I can. What? What? Did you actually cut me
No,
out?
I didn't do anything.
What's
It's just a
going on?
coincidence. It's the
Okay.
same thing that happened last time.
Maybe the video is like fucking up because the darkness.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you gonna just move us on from Asalia now?
Me?
Yeah. Are we leaving now?
No, I was thinking of going to Starfall Academy.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I was kind of joking. We can't leave now.
well, everyone's going to get taken away on their respective slave ships.
We all leave on a slave ship.
So Vargo, after procuring a little leather satchel of crystals, goes looking for the Magus, and he finds that he is at Starfall Academy. Apparently, he is conversing with some learned scholars there upon his mission. I would like to present the Magus with this find in attempt to resolve magic, to fix magic with this little satchel of crystals. Does anyone want to be the Magus to receive
I'll be the
these?
Magus.
Oh, Magus, there you are. Been looking all over for you. I've finished the mission this morning. I've done it. I've saved everything.
What mission are you talking about, young Vargo?
That's funny, you know, the mission. I'm fixing magic. I fixed magic. I've got the thing to fix magic.
Well, what I don't know what you think we're doing on this mission, Vargo, but I am curious to see what you've got there.
Well, when you went and told us to get supplies, I found this marketplace, right? And there's all kinds of magic there. And this woman magically knew my name and had this magic pouch of magic, and she sold it to me. So here's your change. Chink, chink, chink. And here's the magic. Thanks very much.
The Magus takes the bag and he looks inside of it and closes the bag again. And he's like, Vargo, have you ever heard the story about Jill and her magic beans? It's a story all about a young girl whose father sent her to the market to sell a sheep, and instead, when the girl got the money for the sheep, she bought some magic beans, and then when she got home to her father, he discovered that they were just regular beans, and then the boy planted the beans and nothing happened. Do you know the story?
I don't know what that has to do with anything. I thought I did the right thing. We've got the magic.
I'm sure you were trying your best, Vargo, but what you have in this bag here is salt. And he closes the bag. And he's like, Vargo, wasn't Elamira with you? Where is she? We can't let her wander around this place by herself. It's dangerous here.
She's with Justice. I'm pretty sure I saw her with Justice at the...
Vargo, you're a terrible liar. Where is the girl?
Look, I did what you wanted. I got it. We're fine. Look, just take the magic and do some magic with the magic and the world is safe. Like, can't we go home? Like, what are we even still doing here?
Vargo, I fear I've asked a little too much of all of you on this journey. We certainly should not have ridden on the ice rail, although there were no real safe ways to get here. I think you've lost a very important part of yourself, Vargo. Take this bag of salt back to the market and try to fix the problem that you've created. The magus gives you back the. This is not magic, Vargo. It's just a bag of salt.
Well, this is a bloody joke, isn't it? I'm about ready to walk away from all you lot. Like, what have you done for me? What about Vargo? No one cares about Vargo. You telling me this is salt? If it's salt, then I'm going to eat it. And then we'll see who's magic.
Do you eat a whole bag of salt?
He eats a whole bag of salt.
What happens to him? Was it just salt?
Can we have a third opinion? Is it salt or is it something else?
I want there to be, seeing as you didn't actually fix what is broken, I want something else that's broken to be fixed.
It's definitely just crack cocaine. It's just rocks and rocks of crack.
Yep. Drain crystals.
Yeah. It's male growth hormones. You go completely insane and start smashing everything.
Oh, that's so fucking good. I love that the answer for how you fix what is broken, like this is in contrast to what you said, Lee. I love the answer for how you fix what is broken is you can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no way to fix it.
Yeah, that's super dark.
So it turns out it is just a bag of salt, and Vargo vomits a lot. Vomits so much.
In the rain. No, wait, there is no rain here.
No, out the door of the Starfall Academy, and then he
into like the canal.
He vomits up all the magic, and the world is saved.
The end.
The little copper robots are very happy.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Whose turn is it?
Does anyone have anything they want to do in Astalia?
I guess the question is, do you want to be saved in Astalia or saved at sea, Elamoda?
Saved at sea.
Cool.
Cool.
Because the only other thing I had in mind was to save you, but we'll save you at sea. It's fine.
If that's cool.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
in that case, let's we'll take our first little break and we'll come back and start our ocean voyage. Will we just take 5 or?
I'm happy with 5.
I'm good with 5.
Cool. Back in a second.
Bye.
I just want everyone to be all right again.
Never.
Never.
So sad. The
Man,
Major
like,
seems to be having a great time
oh yeah,
though.
drinking golden wine, making out with everyone.
So, I think it's either me or Ellen doing the. No, wait, I was the Magus at Stormguard. Then it was.
Lauren,
Well, it
to go
doesn't have to
Axel.
go. It doesn't have to go time for time, but
Yeah.
I kind of like sharing it around because
If you or Ellen have a thing.
Is anybody super keen? Did you want to have a go at being the Magus, Ellen? Is any?
I'll do it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Get him away. I'm on this. So the Magus is the candle. The Sea Wing, the hospitality of Grandmother Black. So the crew is, or the group led by the Magus board the Sea Wing down at the wharfs, and as we walk, I think we can see like Justice very pointedly trying not to look in the water as she walks past it. And we board the Sea Wing. Now the Sea Wing is the ship that crosses the Sightless Sea. There are coastal runners that go up and down, but this is the only one that it does ever and has ever crossed the Sightless Sea. Exactly, Lauren. And so it's large. It's like, when I say large, I mean unfathomably large. It is built like the ship that we see on the Roll20 out there with the 3 masts, the fore, aft, and the middle mast, and yet the size of them is probably 3 or 4 times what a regular ship would be. It's like its own town floating across the ocean.
I'm picturing a cruise ship but heaps more piratey.
Yes, that's actually a really, really good hit. And when you stand beneath it, and when even the Mega stands beneath it, I think we see like how small he looks and how weak he looks this far into the journey. Especially next to something so large, he just seems so insignificant. And he makes his way up to the ship, and the gangplank itself leads up to the underdecks, because it would be too steep to go up to the main deck. And we wind our way up, following the Magus into the onto the probably the second deck, so the one just below the main deck. And when he reaches there, and like he's pulled into a chair at a large table, and he collapses into it, and it's carved from wood, the likes of which no one, not even Justice, has ever seen. Unless, let me ask, has Justice been across the Sightless Sea before?
I don't think so, no.
So it's carved from wood found across the sea. So no one, not even Justice. And the smell of it is probably the biggest thing that fills your nostrils. It smells like freshly cut pine does. It's like that. I don't know what pearwood is. Lauren, please describe what pearwood is.
It's wood. It's sapient, sentient wood from Terry Pratchett books. It's what the luggage is made out of, if you've ever seen the luggage before, which is like a chest with legs that can like run around everywhere.
I feel like I would do it at a service. If you want to bring that in later, please do, but I will not at this point. Beautiful. So and he collapses into it, and you smell this like thick scent through the air, and it smells unfamiliar and yet comfortable. And he appears to have aged 20 years just walking up this plank. And he says, I would have met her in her quarters, but I think I'll have to wait for Grandmother Black to reach us. And he waits with the group, and while you wait, he is attended to. People come out dressed in these in slave garb, and it's like brown clothes made from stitched Hessian sacks. They look horrifically itchy and uncomfortable, and they mop the magus' brow, and they take his shoes from his feet, and they brush his hair. And when it's done, he doesn't look any more aged. He just probably looks even more tired. And he falls asleep in this chair, waiting. And I should probably bring in Grandmother Black at this point. So Grandmother Black opens the door and steps in, and she is every inch the Pirate Queen. She's probably about 22 years old, wearing big black boots with guns at her hip, and a sword larger than Justice strapped to her back. Lauren, please be Grandmother Black.
Yeah.
So the Magus is currently sleeping, right? Or
Yeah,
sitting-
but I'm sure she's got ways of waking him up, Lauren.
Yeah, I feel like Grandmother Black does that thing of like she produces her rusty blade and like sits the tip at like underneath the Magus's chin and gives it like a little tap.
Yeah, you take this for a bit. Go hog wild. This is yours.
Oh, I thought someone was gonna play the Magus for me.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Lou, you're in.
The Magus doesn't wake up yet. He's exhausted.
I think she presses like the blade a little bit harder against the tip of his chin and maybe like drags it down towards his chest and gives it a poke and is like, sleepy. Wake up.
The Magus slowly opens his eyes, and even though he's old and tired, when he opens his eyes, he suddenly looks like a very dangerous person to be pointing a sword at. I think maybe when you look in his eyes, like he just slowly opens them, and you can see all like there's little like roiling like thunderclouds. There's like little storms in his eyes, and he's like, I think you should move that right now.
And she laughs at him and says, they told me that some rats had snuck on board, and yet I was not expecting you. And she gives his chest a little tap with the sword.
The Magus is he actually looks quite confused. The storm kind of fade away. He's like, Grandmother Black?
The one and only. But you may call me Captain.
I'm like, this is very strange. And he kind of looks down at his hands. They're all like gnarled and old. He's like, you don't look a day older than when we first met.
Indeed, I think people presume that the sea weather is bad for one's complexion. However, I feel the salt has preserved me. You, on the other hand, you have aged some years, and yet you are still as fine looking as when I first met you.
And he's like, I had heard that the air of the ocean was good for you, but I mean, you must be over 100 years old now.
I
You look
stopped
like
counting. Don't you know not to ask a woman her real age?
he says whatever the thing in this world is for damn girl. It's like that has to go through a translation though. Yeah, I think damn it ye.
Damn it, ye.
He says damn it ye. Yeah.
Tell me.
He says, yeah, you go, yeah.
Tell me, where is it you seek to travel?
Well, we'll be going all of the way to the other side of the ocean, all the way with you.
Ah, all the way across the sightless sea. Tell me, have you come prepared?
Prepared for what?
The sea is filled with many wonders. Wonders that I'm afraid you would not want to set eyes upon, hence the name.
Well, I've always enjoyed wonders personally, and I don't know if I've got many more wonders to see in my life, so I'd say that I'm prepared for anything.
Ah, that is what I like to hear. I do recall your enjoyment of wonder when we were much younger. Come, and she takes his hand to pull him up.
He gets up. I think he suddenly looks surprisingly sprightly. I'd actually kind of even I think you'd get a little a crossfade thing, like a double exposure of the same scene of Grandmother Black leading a much younger Magus across the same deck and into the same door as they're walking towards that door.
Excellent.
Nice.
And I feel like she closes the scene by saying, come, we have a much to catch up on, and the captain's table is indeed set for 2.
Cool. And pats him on the bottom.
She is a feisty older lady. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
You guys are the best.
See, Ellen, the trick to getting out of your turn of doing the Magus is you do 30 seconds and then just hand it over to Lauren and Lou.
And then they nail it. Sweet.
And then they nail each other.
Wow.
I'm pretty keen to see something with Vargo or Elamura or both in it.
I've got mine up my sleeve.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in, or did you want to wait for the journey to go on a little bit?
I'll jump in,
Cool.
and then someone can rescue me in theirs. But so, Elamura, we see her. In fact, I'm in the cabin, the sound of the ship, and we see her packed into this tiny cabin with just a few people, and the sound we can hear is this the scratching. And it's just her scratching against this hessian that she's clothed in. And her skin is red and irritated. And one of her nails is chipped where she's been tearing at herself. And she can't sit still. And a guy moves to help her. And an older gentleman stops him and says, she'll get used to it, but it'll take time. And she's just can't get to it. And she starts grow frustrated. And there's a bell that rings. And he says, young one, Go pack up the captain's table. The movement will ease the itching, and it may even give you some time in the higher decks where the air is thinner. And she gets up and is struggling to avoid the scratching. And as she walks through the ship, we start to hear the sound of the waves crashing against the side of the ship turns into the sound of rain falling from above. And there's this blend as the two sounds of water mix into each other. And as she approaches the captain's quarters, she raises her hand to knock, and a guy out the front just shakes his head. One of the a crewman that would be guarding or attending to her shakes his head, and he's just don't knock. And he just opens the door and lets her in. And as soon as she steps in, she can hear the sound of rough piratey sex happening past another door. And the table in front of them, where the captain's table was set, everything's been pushed onto the floor, and it's splayed out along the ground. All the food's half eaten. There's wine soaking into the deck. And Delamira, not recognizing the sound of the Magus, just collecting all this stuff off the ground. And she even probably gets part of her hessian and tries to mop up the wine that's soaking in, and it's just ineffectual. And she stands up and she looks out towards the door where the piratey pleasure is happening, and she looks at this knife that she's got in her hand, and she seems to steel herself for violence, and then loses her nerve, and she walks out to the galley where she returns the plates. And the last thing we see of her is her walking away, and the light from one of the lanterns glints off a bit of steel that she's jammed into the hessian sack at her arm, and we see that she's kept hold of that one knife.
Ooh.
Lovely.
Y'all can rescue me whenever you want now.
I'm gonna jump in and have a go unless anybody else wants to jump in.
You go for gold.
Oh, you.
I've just got a little one. I'm going
Ellen told me.
It's small but powerful. Let's see here. Crow's nest. Okay. No, wait. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the crow's nest. I think that Justice, I think, is still feeling in a contemplative mood, returning to having returned to Astalia along the ice rail, and kind of with this newfound inability to lie, which is something that she's relied on for so long. She's kind of feeling like her companions are all messed up. At the start of the journey, she felt like she was the most wretched person in the party, and now she's actually feels like she's maybe not now, she's getting her shit together. Yeah, so I guess because this ship's so massive, the crow's nest is it must be incredibly high. So I think it takes her quite a while to climb up there, and it's just I think this sea is called the Sightless Sea just because of it's just got crazy thick mist that the clouds are essentially just super low, so they open up sometimes and you can see big expanses of ocean and islands in the distance, and then they're just completely gone again and you're sailing through the mist. But I think maybe the crow's nest often manages to kind of pierce the low-lying clouds and mist, so she comes up, climbs up, and there's that window seat on an aeroplane view of the tops of the clouds, and she's kind of just looking out across these clouds, and I think she can see like the tops of lots of little islands kind of poking their heads up. Like they must be mountains with super high crags on them, but every now, like here and there's just the top of a mountain with like birds flying around it and stuff. That's my my whole scene.
That was lovely.
So good.
I don't really feel that drawn to anything on this ship. I don't really want to go rescuing Elamura.
Sure don't.
Is it time to go island hopping?
We can.
I
Well, I was going to say we've got Lauren, Ellen. If you don't mind, Lauren playing with us.
Oh, who?
Yeah, well, we can do.
No,
I mean,
she's real bad at games. Don't worry.
The rules say that we're meant to all have a turn before we can move the mages, but it's fine if you're not particularly drawn to a prompt. But did you want to do something like now before we will essentially still kind of be on the ship and going from island to island? But was there something you were drawn to, Lauren?
Not totally, because like my childhood self would not be happy if I omitted the opportunity to talk to a figurehead of a living ship.
Oh yeah. Okay, so go there.
So good. I cannot wait.
The question is, who wants to be my figurehead?
Ellen, does that draw you? Yes.
Awesome.
Awesome. I will leave you up to characterize what this figurehead is like. And their their gender, their appearance, what they've seen in the past, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go for how we find our way. And I think the setting for the scene is like sort of at whatever I'm really bad with ship terminology, but like the pointy end of the ship with the figurehead is. It's probably starboard or whatever. The bow.
It's called a bow. Starboard is the right side.
I thought it was the stern.
Okay, we're playing a fantasy game, but let's all just fucking settle a little bit. Called the bow.
So
pretty sure it's the stern.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the stern. But whatever, I'll call it the bow. So I think Hop is like on the bow, kind of like leaning over the edge. She feels a bit unsettled because she has not been around this much like blank expanse for some time, even though it is quite foggy and reminiscent of the Mistwood. And I don't think she's like cottoned on to the fact that this is indeed Grandmother Black's like living ship. So she's kind of just like chilling out, like fingering the broken compass that the little like copper thing gave her, and humming to herself, and maybe talking a little bit out loud, like, I really think that thing was just taking the piss. This thing is definitely broken.
You hear a cackle. Like it's a really a deep it almost sounds like waves chopping on the side of the board, the bow. And child, you do not know where you are going.
Harp startles and almost drops the compass. And then Siva looks around to see where that voice comes from. And then focuses in on the figurehead and cocks an eyebrow. Hello?
So, I think there's this front of the wooden boat, and from the pointy bit at the front of the wooden boat, there is, your very chauvinistic ideal woman carved onto the front of the boat, like hair strategically placed over bare breasts and like arms back along the sides of the ship, and this wooden head slowly turns around and looks at Harp. Completely wooden features, wooden eyes, wooden mouth. And she just laughs again. Oh, child, you do not know where to go.
No, I do not know where to go. It is quite perplexing. However, I ascertain from your good humor that you are indeed enlightened as to where we are traveling.
Well, can't you hear it? Ah, my family. They sing to me from across the shores. Listen. And through the howling wind that you have at sea and the chopping waves, you hear like Sirenificus singing in the distance, like choruses of voices, non-definable voices, and it sounds like they're in a pattern that you could easily mistake for a weather event. Creaking ship.
I think for a second, Hop is ready to like blow this off as like, I only hear the weather. Like, what are you talking about? But then giving it a second longer, they catch like the few notes of that like sonorous voice. It's like, how odd. And that is your family. You're returning home to your family.
Yes, I spend my days on the water, going to and fro from my world to your world. And I see lots along the way. You don't see much at all, do you, child?
I find it odd to think that you see much traveling the same path. Do you not feel trapped in your current predicament? You are not free.
Oh, and you think you are?
No, I think I am lost.
I choose to follow this journey, and although my path is the same every day there are new creatures. Every day there are new essences about me. Nothing is ever the same.
If I may ask, Ship, how old are you?
Oh, that is a good question. I have been a ship for maybe 5 of your 100 of years. I'm not, but in the forest, when I was a tall, beautiful tree, tall, so tall and wide, they called me the mother of the forest. The men and their axes, they brought me down, but I drowned them. So
How fortunate.
yes.
Do you, pardon me if this is too forward, do you miss the time when you were a tree?
It was what it was. Now this is what it is. Trees do not have the pleasure of moving across water and seeing different locations. But at the same time, ships do not know what it feels like to sink your roots deep into the soil and catch the rain upon your leaves.
And do you not worry that one day you will tarnish or be wrecked and face a fate worse than where you began, where you're beached?
Oh, child. I have had so many days and nights and seasons to experience life. I've spent years with my family in the forests, and I've made families with the creatures in the sea. But you, I see, you have no roots in soil. You have no essences about you. You are wafting like a cloud, soon to dissipate.
Indeed, I fear you are right. I fear I am already beached. I do not see much freedom or opportunities to explore in my future, dear ship.
You need to just learn how to sail with the tides and blow with the breeze and sing with the rain.
I fear that I would be a fool to turn down that advice for someone so wise and knowledgeable who has seen far more of the world than I have.
Oh, child, you are so lost.
Indeed.
You need to stop worrying about what other people will and will not be. You need to be you.
Well, I fear indeed you are correct again, ship. I feel I shall retire to my room and think about what you have put to me.
I will see you there.
And I will see you on the return voyage for sure.
No, I will see you in your room. I am
Ah,
all of the ship.
well,
If you are lost, you need just whisper into the wood, and I will hear you, and I will come to your aid, lost traveler that you are.
I think Harp puts the hand on the railing, oddly touched by this gesture of guidance, and says, "Thank you. I didn't know I needed to hear that, but I greatly appreciate your offer, and I imagine I will be whispering to you into the wee hours of the night on our voyage." And I was, in fact, hesitant, nervous, anxious, worried, as you have accurately described me, embarking upon this voyage, for there are no roots anywhere. There are no trees. It's just terrifying dark depths of watery nothingness. And yet, now I feel much more comforted. Thank you. And she pats the railing.
I have come from a forest like you, but now I sail proudly on the sea. You too can sail proudly upon your sea.
Indeed. I hope that is within my future. Thank you.
Too good.
Yes, Ellen, you're an amazing ship. I was like trying so not to freak out during that scene because I was like, oh my god, that's so amazing. But I'm going to be in character.
Yeah, I was just getting grossed out by how cheesy I was being through some of it.
You weren't being cheesy at all. It was awesome.
It was amazing.
Nailing it.
Cool. I didn't think it was cheesy.
It was everything I wanted and more. Like, oh my god, I've wanted like a live ship in my game since I was like 10. So thank you.
Yes. And now you've got like one hold up your sleeve with her.
Yeah, I was really surprised there wasn't making out.
You know, like not everything in this game's about making out.
Yeah.
Have you played with Lauren?
Yeah. And then the ship caressed her face, leant in for a big smooch.
Yeah. Harp leaves her quarters covered in splinters.
The ship's like, no. Look, you're going to pretty much have to do the work. I am literally a ship.
Oh, that was amazing. Thank you, Ellen.
I'm going to deal you a card now, Ellen, one of the island cards. You tell me which one it is, and then I'll put it on the map. That's the easiest way to do it, I think.
Choose which island.
Yeah, I'll deal a card to you, and there'll be a little card above your picture in Roll20, and you click on it, and you can tell me what one it is. Yeah, I guess that there's 12 of them. And I guess we'll see what happens. I'll just find where they are. I think we'll do the next island and maybe have another little break.
Cool.
Or the first island. So we'll go to 3 different islands. Where are the cards?
I can see them. Is that?
What? Oh, yeah, they're there. And now I'll deal you one. Deal a card to Ellen. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah. Ooh. The mirror. The faith of the twin sister.
Cool. Okay, that's the first island.
Do you want me to read anything about it, or are you going to?
I've dropped it down on there already. On the map, can you see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. The mirror, the faith of the twin sister. I kind of hope we fall underneath the world.
Yeah.
I want to play more with you guys.
Yeah.
Totally. Not gonna lie, I'd be so happy if the twin sister is indeed the siren that our ship told us about.
Oh.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking when you were talking about that of there being like carved like siblings on all of the different islands and on the other side of the ocean, and that's how they like
Like a fantasy lighthouse.
You guys are so good at games.
Yeah, so this can be you, Ellen, I think. Seeing as you didn't go in the last thing of doing the magus and stuff.
So shall I play the magus? Is that what's happening?
You shall.
Yeah. So the prompt, like the mirror, is the thing you describe, and the faith of the twin sister is the other thing that you say what the fuck that's about. So you could describe the ship coming into the harbour, or you could describe us already on an island, like somehow, or however you want to go about it.
So we've been at sea for several days now. And can you turn your mic off, Luke?
Sorry.
Sorry, just there was clicking and dogs barking, and I could hear the echo. It was doing my head in. The grandmother Black was on the poop deck. What do they call that? What's the poop deck called?
What are you talking about?
On a ship, like the poop deck.
But what she's on the, are you talking about where you actually go to the toilet?
No.
So, no. The poop deck is so on a ship, especially an old sailing ship. The aft and highest deck is the poop deck, which is like usually, you know, where the big wheel is.
Yeah, she's on.
How
the
it's like
poop deck.
elevated. That's the poop deck.
Yeah, that's where she is. Is there a better term for it? Nah.
Oh,
I mean, that's what it's called.
I
Okay.
think you could call it the helm as well, if you wanted to be like all epic about it.
Yeah.
couldn't
On
you?
the main deck.
Grandmother Black was standing upon the helm, clutching the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yep. We need like another window of nautical terms for this section. So she's clutching the wheel, and it's night. No one else is on the deck except for the Magus. He's hanging out with his boo, you know. But she's staring through this dark mist, and then she sees a signal light in the distance, and she's like, good, she knows we're coming. Somehow Grandmother Black steers the ship, or does the ship steer Grandmother Black to the island, narrowly missing craggy rocks, and it seems to be a treacherous bay to pull in, but they manage to port safely at this small dark pier. And at the end of this dark pier there's a lantern, a really, really dim lantern. So it's amazing that you can even see where you're meant to be going. Like you can't really see the island itself because the mist is so thick. You can just feel this great body or essence of a place in front of the ship. So they dock the ship, and some of the crew is awakened by the docking. I don't think anyone really knew that they were coming here. And Grandmother Black jumps off the side of the ship onto this pier, and coming down the pier, the other end, is the spitting image of Grandmother Black. But unlike, you know, this tough pirate woman like Grandmother Black is in the leathers and the sword, you have this woman in like a long flowing white gown, and she stares at Grandmother Black and, sister, you need to call ahead. And the Magus is looking at the women, and something is making sense, that these women know each other. And do they both know the Magus? Does Grandmother White know the Magus? I don't know.
Cool. I think we need to see something from Elamira.
Man. All right. I'm going to do the Holy Prism, what comes into view. It's been some time that we've been at sea, as we discussed. And we see Elamira sitting in the same place that we saw her sitting the first time before. She's not itching anymore. She just sits there. And sometimes her fingers will like trace over the knife that she has still woven through the hessian. And she just kind of looks around the room. And we can tell the ship has stopped because there's no sound of the sea outside anymore, or the waves lapping against it are no longer rough and loud. They're their soft, like just calm motion of the world outside. And the lantern in the room goes out. And nobody like reacts to it. There's maybe like a little groan from someone. And we hear the older voice we heard before, and he's like, it's still a day or two until we get our oil ration. They've been getting smaller and smaller. And we hear the tearing of Hessian as Elamira rips the knife from her clothing. And we hear her frustrated groan and the thud as the knife digs into the wood. And it continues over and over and over and over. And this goes on for a long time. We hear the thud space out as she tires. We hear the wet, sort of like thick, meaty sound as her hand slips from the knife on one strike and punches into the wall of the ship. And then eventually we hear the splintering of the wood, and it cracks open. And she tears, and we see this little bit of light spill, a little bit of natural light spill into these slaves' quarters. Natural light they wouldn't have seen since they got on board this ship. And I think we see like the ship, like the planks still bleeding sap a little bit, as if it were like fresh wood. But she cuts through it, and the light spills in, and we can see the soft sea outside. We see the island, and Elamira like falls back on the ground and lets the knife fall from her hand, and the light just spills onto her face, and it catches like the stubble that's growing on her head now, and it catches the blood on her arm and the sap that's mixed with it, and she falls backwards onto the ship with this soft island light painted across her. And she smiles a very, very big smile that we haven't seen since like before the ice rail.
Very nice.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Got to find my own happiness, Ellen.
Not getting it here, bud.
Do you want to go, Laura?
Yeah, I have some ideas. Unless someone else has like a really good idea they want to go first. Oh, jeez. Well, I'm in two minds because like part of me is like I've like Hop's been avoiding everyone for so long and has not had a scene with anyone for so long.
Come down below decks.
Oh man. Yeah, I kind of dig the like callback to this. I think I'm gonna go to the Village of Lights. And I think this scene is gonna be between Hop and Elamira.
Dope.
Playing on the whole kindness to a stranger, because we are in fact strangers.
Yeah.
The question is, do you want to sort of like play out leaving the ship, or just sort of like do a cut to when you're stumbling around to the island? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm totally happy to like be stumbling around the island like wet head to toe with this big hole in the side of the ship. Cool.
Awesome. I think Harp comes across Elamura in this state, and I think up until this point, people, when they've talked about where Elamura is, have said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I saw her around. Like I'm pretty sure she's around. Like I swear I saw her." But no one's like been able to place her.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Harp like finally sees Elamura in the state, she, I think, initially calls out to Elamura and is like, "Elamura, you have been hiding for some time." But then she sort of cuts herself off when she sees the state Elamura's in, and it's like, "Oh my child, what happened?"
She's like soaked and furious and like stomping. She stomps right up to Harp and she's like, "Where's that fucking giant?"
Vago.
Yes. And she's still wearing this like hessian, and she just starts like with the knife in her hand, she starts like cutting it away from her body and like tearing it away, and she's like, "That fucking giant sold me for a bag of sold me to some salt trader, and
That, beg pardon, that does not sound like the Vago I know. The Vago I know is kind and compassionate. Are you sure we're talking about the same giant?
I know literally one thing about Vargo, and that is like let me bring you through my entire history with Vargo. Met, sold into slavery.
Child, you look like you could do with a good meal.
I have eaten nothing but crow's feet for the last 6 weeks. I didn't think crow's nest was literal.
Elamira, may I take your hand?
No, like I think she pulls like she pulls away. She's like, "Stop!"
Oh no, like
touching me.
I wasn't gonna touch
Oh,
her
right.
without her consent.
Yeah,
I was.
I think even like that'd be a first for us lately, Lauren. God damn, all the forehead touching. I think she's like, touchies later. I'm gonna fucking touch that giant. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna touch him right in his face.
I think first you should have a good meal and perhaps seek some first aid, and then we may counsel with Vago, if that is fine by you. I think first you need to take care of yourself before taking care of our friend.
I think at this point you now have like a furious like naked raven in front of you as she steps out of the hessian, and she's like, "I will eat when I feast on his throat."
Do you really not remember all of the kind things Vago has done for us up until this point, Elamura?
Met, slavery. I remember nothing. I remember being alone, and I remember being happy when I was alone, and everything was easy when I was alone, and I climbed the Stormcloak Mountains alone, and I went through the castle alone, and I visited Barley Town alone, and everything was easy, and then I hook up with a giant for like 30 fucking seconds, and I'm a slave.
I used to think I was wise, and yet I find myself at a loss for how to navigate this delicate situation. For I do not wish to impose upon you memories that for you are false and, I imagine, lies. But But the journey I recall from when we left Ravenhall with Vargo the Magus and Justice, if that is indeed their real name. I recall those evenings where Vargo went out foraging for vegetables for us to feast upon, and even caught myself a fish. Even though up until recently I claimed to be a vegetarian. And I also recall the songs we sang in Ballytown about the Mistwood, where Vargo and I are from, and I recall so many good things about Vargo.
Oh, can I think a thing?
Yeah, go for it.
If you like start humming one of those songs, like, and that's like, music is different to memory, right? Like it's deeper, it lives in a different place.
Totally. I think, yeah, Harp definitely starts humming the song they sang in Mistwood, about Mistwood from Ballytown.
And like, I think you just see Elamira's eyes soften and her shoulders fall, and she sings along with like the last half of one of the lines. Like, off in Mistwood Vale. And then she like has a deep blink and looks at you and she says, I don't know how I know that song. That's different. That's so different. And she like looks at you again and blinks twice, and then her eyes change and the pupils dilate. She's like, oh, Harp, I've missed you so much. And she just like throws her arms around you. She's like, Harp, it's been so. I'm so glad I found you. Please look.
I think you get the classic like Harp takes an awkward step back and then gives you like the most rigid hug you've received in your life, along with like the very uncomfortable, uncertain back pat.
Oh yes, that's so good. That's so good.
And it's like, I'm glad that you're with us again, Elamira. Things are very, very bad, but perhaps they may get better with this recollection.
Banch, is everyone okay? Justice, is Justice okay?
Justice is fine. Justice cannot keep their mouth shut.
And what happened to Vargo? I said terrible things. Oh, Harp, please don't tell Vargo what I said. I didn't mean it. It's not true.
I would not tell Vargo these things. Trust me, I know that Vargo is kind and sweet, and there must have been some misunderstanding about what happened. For you just disappeared in last year. People said that people weren't frankly sure where you were, but it looks like you've been through hell and back. And something is, I feel like we're literally about to go through hell and back. So the fact that you have already been there is very worrying. What happened? What was it like down there? Or what happened?
He says, it's weird. It's like I can't. It's like the more I remember you, the less I can remember the other stuff. But I'm not worried, Harp. I don't care if we go through hell. I'd go through anything with you.
That is good to know, for the Lord knows what we will encounter in the next stretch of our journey. It is good to have you back, Elamira. Our group is much better off with you with all of your memories. And then she gives you like an awkward pat on the head. I'm glad that some of us recovered what was lost on the ice rail.
Well, maybe if I found what I lost, I can help you find what you lost too. It's got to be around here somewhere.
I would appreciate that, Delamira. Thank you. But I think on the inside, Hop's like, yeah, the fuck that.
Yeah, and like, I imagine the contrast of like Elamira with this massive smile and Harp just like, no. No.
Come, let us eat. You could do with a hearty bowl of soup or stew.
Absolutely. And I think I need to go say sorry to Vargo.
Indeed. I think I would appreciate that.
My favorite, Lauren.
Oh, everybody's crying.
Lauren, you're so good. Shit, man. I'm so happy.
Oh, I'm happy. I love the idea that Harp is just like, no, of course Vargo's still good. Like, why wouldn't Vargo still be good?
My favorite part was like naked, distraught, wet, emotional Elamira hugging fully clothed, dry, like cold, distant Harp, and like just the oh, this is my everything stepping in to hug you, and you being like, okay, you've only been gone for like a couple of weeks, fucking chill out. And like that contrast is so perfect to me. Watching those two characters play off each other. Oh fuck, I love you, Lauren. Oh my god,
thanks.
I want to RPG marry you.
I'm pretty sure we can work that out.
Ellen's
There's
actually
the-
RPG ordained.
There's the ritual union at the Glass Cathedral.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Which I'm totally going to do a quick scene at right now.
Fuck yeah. Take
Then,
us.
Nice.
then we'll have a
Perfect
little
gold.
break, I think. It's a nice scene. That was lovely too, by the way. But I mean, I don't think this will be as heart-rending.
Oh,
Okay. The Glass Cathedral. I'm going to take a little bit of inspiration from the image actually too. Yeah, so I think the camera pans kind of out and up, like straight from that scene, and kind of travels along the island and up to like the kind of high point of the island, and there's this kind of like church there, like really big building built out of like prisms of glass, and we see Justice walking along the trail, and she's looking down at the ocean, and there's all these other buildings reflected in the water that aren't like actually on the island. Like you look down at the water and it's like there's it's hard to tell whether they're there underneath the ocean or if they're not there at all. And so Justice walks into this cathedral, and there's nobody in there. It's like full daylight in there because all the walls are made of glass, and you can hear her footsteps kind of echoing through this space as she walks up, and at the whole room is completely empty, but at the opposite end of the entrance there's a kind of perfect mirror there, and so she walks towards this mirror and she stops like quite close to it, and she's looking at herself, and she's kind of, you can see that she's looking herself right in the eye, and she just stands there like quietly for quite some time, and then she takes a step closer and kind of puts her hand in the mirror, and I think she really softly, she's like, Fawn, He's like, I'm sorry. I've done a lot of really stupid things. And she stands there for a while longer, and I think she steps up even closer until she's like looking herself right in the eyes in the mirror, and she's just like, he's like, I love you, Fawn. He's like, everything's gonna be okay. We're doing good things now. And I don't know how. I don't think we've really seen. I don't think we've seen like a full smile on Justice's face in this thing. Like, we haven't seen a smile. Maybe we saw a smile like this in the flashback on the holiday with her mother, and I think she smiles. There's this really bright smile that she gives herself, and she turns and kind of walks off. But she's she kind of has a bit of a new look about her. Yeah, that's my thing.
Oh,
That was beautiful.
It's so lovely to see like Fawn develop.
yeah, I'm loving that so much.
I reckon maybe do you want to have a Vargo scene, because then we will have all had a turn here and we can move on? Or are you refusing to play still? As Vargo? Not that you haven't had other amazing scenes.
Yeah, I'm happy not to do anything on this island.
But can you just tell me what Vargo's doing this whole time? Because I'm super curious.
take you
Even just without a prompt.
So Vargo is being really sullen. Like, he's cranky at everyone and everything, and he just is like on the ship. He was just sitting by himself, like carving like weapons out of like wood and whatever he had lying around. And on the island, he's just like stomping around the island or just sitting on the beach staring out like crankily at the water. I don't think he's a bit yuck at the moment.
So that's salt.
It's all the meat.
Yeah.
Smelling salty.
Salt and
Salty
meat.
meat.
He's a bit constipated.
And perhaps I wonder if he's guilty at all. He's not, is he? He's just angry.
Yeah, he doesn't realize he's done anything wrong.
I want to draw the. Sorry, you go, Sid.
Well, I was going to say, like, with all the salt that he's had, like, we've probably got some serious blood pressure issues, like all the hyponatremia. You know, probably some nephropathy. He's probably lost some weight on the trip. I can't remember any of my hyponatremia. I'm trying real hard.
Yeah,
And that's what we get for having someone medically trained in our community.
It's a dumb joke, though.
It's great.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna deal the next island card. I think it's probably Lauren's turn to be the Magus again. That makes sense, doesn't it? No, wait. Yeah, because it was Sid, and you kind of handballed half of it off to.
Yeah, I did, and I was real. No one noticed that.
Yeah, I'm going to deal you the card, Lauren. Deal. One card to Lauren. Okay. Do you want to look at it and tell me what it is? It's just above your thingy jam.
Oh, hang on. I can double click on it, right?
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, the sightless quarantine.
Ooh. So we'll find that.
Ooh. Oh my god, Sid, there's a bunch on here about comforting the sick.
Oh man, who's sick?
Oh, sick wads. The mender. a story for children. Oh, this one looks like some heavy things are about to happen.
Doesn't sound like
Okay.
us.
Let's.
Yeah, this has been so lighthearted so far, Lou. Are you sure this matches tone?
Justice has been having a pretty good time of self-reflection and solitude. Yeah, let's go take 5 and we'll come back to some sort of horrific ordeal that will scar us for life.
Yay!
Hi, Lauren. I've missed you. Oh,
Hello.
hi, Lou. I've missed you both. It's been so long.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be real sad when we can't play this every Sunday. Like, this is what I look forward to.
We're going back
like-
the other way, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit.
I saw Ross Cowman was playtesting a new game that's based on this similar sort of engine that's about families and kind of refugees and like travel and that kind of stuff, and it looks like really amazing. So I'm hoping we might get to see that soon. I'm pretty keen on that.
Awesome.
Man, I'm thinking of all the things that I could make through this engine, like all the anything where you move through a physical or metaphorical space would work, especially as a group.
I think it's deceivingly like they really play tested this game a lot. I think how once you start looking into how it all works in terms of what the scenes are about at the start, and then how they change and flow, and what sorts of questions and prompts they are. It's it's quite calculated.
I didn't understand how good the prompts were until I saw the ones that aren't really written well, and I was like, I'm gonna have a moan about it. A lot of them start with the hospitality of, and it wasn't until we got to Stalia and its hospitality a gilded one, and I was like, oh, this is actually not as interesting to me as it could be.
Yeah, right.
Because I feel like the others bring so much more because they're all so different.
Yeah, right. Yeah, when it's like the Ice Rail one, the Debt You Owe thing, that was kind of stronger because it's different, I guess.
Yeah, and because it means something, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Will we are you wanting happy to be the Magus, Lauren?
Totally. An idea came to me, funnily enough, is a throwback to the Gilded One for
Cool.
this island. So I'm super pumped about it. I think we approach this island as a bit of a detour. It's not charted on the course of where we're going, but Grandmother Black insists that we need to make a stop off here. And as we land upon these shores, we sort of look around and are a bit why does she need to stop off here? But then as we disembark, a tumble of those same tiny automaton little coppery golems spill out from the ship. But these ones look a lot more haggard and ill-functioning. Some of them are missing bits and limbs. And I think the Magus looks to Grandmother Black and she shrugs and says, they are due for recycling. These models are no longer fit for use, and this is where I bring them. I get paid a pretty penny just to bring them here. And this is where they see out their days. And the Magus gives her a bit of a skeptical look and doesn't say much as he disembarks. And I think as he does, there's a little chorus of tiny little automaton golems. But they look different to the ones in the gilded place. And these ones look a lot more natural and look more like organic forming copper, and they're kind of bright and vibrant, and they have some oxidization, but they're also shiny and orangey and quite beautiful, and they look a lot more lively than their counterparts in the Gilded City. And the Magus sort of shakes his head at them as they're going, yeah, it's the Magus, that's happy fun times. And he says, I thought they finished harvesting these things, but it seems the Gilded City still runs upon the blood and metal of these poor creatures. And from the wee crowd, I think we see the Mender, who is a scarecrow of metal and bits put together. And we see him tinkering to fix one of these little broken machines to bring it back to working order, and he just sort of nods at the Magus and gets about his work, for he has no time for hospitality. He is far too busy to to greet the Magus. And I think nearby we see a little like village with huts, but the huts are all like sheet metal and like bits of scrap and things like that. But it looks like real lively, if not really sad. Like these people are trying to like live their best life, even though they're all broken. Yeah, like a little robot shantytown. That's my ramble about this place.
Beautiful. It's definitely time for Vargo to make an appearance.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I got to play the game.
I know, I'm just really enjoying watching it. So Vargo walks along the beach, and he's really out of sorts. As I said earlier, he's not happy, cranky, just not feeling right, and he's walking down the beach, and he hears like a sound. He doesn't recognize the sound, and he's kind of like high pitched, melodic, and he doesn't know what it is, and he walks closer to it, and then as he arrives at this cove, he realizes it's children laughing, like he'd forgotten the sound of children's laughter. And looking upon this scene of like some really ratbag looking kids, like, you know, their clothes are falling apart, they don't wear shoes, they look dirty, but they're so happy, and they're playing amongst the rocks and splashing in the water and running up and down the beach and playing games with sticks and whatever they can find around, as kids do. And he, as he's approaching this group, like one of the kids sees him and like, whoa, actual real life giant, wow. And this kid gets the other kid's attention, and then in like no time there's a herd of children like running around Vargo, like tugging at his fur and his shirt, and he's feeling really quite overwhelmed and frustrated and cranky. He just wants to hit these annoying things. And where are you from, mister? Like, what are you doing? Like, how did you get here? Did you come here on a boat? You came here on that boat? Whoa, where are you going? And they just like non-stop talking and asking him 1,000 questions. And one of the kids is like, mister, tell me a story about where you come from. Tell me a story about your travels. And he's like yells, like does this bear like growl, like, and like pushes the kids off him and shakes them off him, and they're climbing all over him, and he's like, and then in a really like growly voice, if I tell you one story, will you leave me alone? And the children, like, when he first turned like this, their faces fall. They look terrified, and like one or two of them are starting to well up and cry. And then as soon as like they cotton on to what he said, they were like, yeah, run around, story, story, story. So Vargo plumps himself down on the sand, and he's got a herd of children, maybe 10 or 12 little brats, sitting down in front of him, cross-legged, like staring wide-eyed. One little girl has come up behind him and is like playing with his hair, and he's like not stoked on the situation. And then he says, now, once there was a giant from Mistwood. His name was Vargo. He worked for the Magus for all his life. And then one day the Magus told him that he needs to go on an adventure to save all the world. But the giant didn't like this idea. And the giant killed everyone. And then some of the children scream. And then he's like, no, just kidding. The giant is confused about why he's doing this. And he doesn't know what he's meant to be doing. He seems to be doing everything wrong. And he just can't remember what he's forgetting. And the children are really dissatisfied with the story. And like one by one, they're walking away quite bored with this giant until Vargo's just left there staring at his hands and staring out at the sea. And this one small child is trying to braid his hair. You happy?
So happy.
Yes, I am.
I know I just wait, but I have a scene I want to do with Vargo in mind, if that's okay. Because I think it's a nice parallel to like where the two of them first bonded.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have an idea in mind for the smell of food. And let me know if like this isn't cool, but like I kind of like the idea of like a couple of us have sat down to eat like this real poultry stew. It's probably like potato stew or like whatever vegetables and meat like rabbit can grow and live on this very like metallic-y island. But the stew definitely has meat in it. And I think Harp and Vargo are seated together eating this stew, and Harp stops with like a spoon to like their mouth and sort of like look at Vargo as Vargo's eating this stew that definitely has meat in it. Just like, and says to Vargo, I don't mean to alarm you, but this is a rabbit stew.
Yes, it is a delicious stew. Wait, why? Yeah, yeah. Can I have yours, or do you not like it?
I mean, I would much prefer it raw, but cooked will suffice, I suppose. But unless I am mistaken, unless I've forgotten something, the last time I offered you meat, you turned it down.
Yeah, I probably wasn't hungry.
How does this food smell to you? Does it smell pleasant or like death?
So good. Maybe you're not well. Look, I'll take your bowl. I'll help you.
Very, very well. You may have mine. They sort of like give it to you, but are still looking at Vago very quizzically and say, Vago, when did you start eating meat again?
I don't know. I guess I've always eaten meat. Meat. Such a funny word.
No, I distinctly recall you, when we first met with the Magus, you said you did not eat flesh. And then again, when you caught me definitely eating flesh, you looked quite perturbed and put off by the idea that I would eat fish. And fish aren't even that cute.
No. Have I eaten fish? Maybe I should try some fish of these fish.
Vago, I have another question I would like to put to you. And I'm a
Yeah.
bit afraid of the answer given the nature of our conversation.
Can I keep eating?
Yes, you may keep eating. But Elamira says that you tried to sell her.
He looks down and make sure his mouth is full. He's like, oh, keeps eating. Like,
Vago, what has happened to you?
sorry, Sid's just being funny in the chat. I don't know. I don't feel so good. I feel like I'm forgetting something and everything feels wrong. I try and do all the right things and I try and, make the world a better place and everyone just yells at me or makes me eat salt.
I fear that you're becoming far more like me, and that is not a destiny I would wish upon anyone. An animal, so to speak. I'm
What's
guessing.
wrong?
Well,
What's wrong? Animals. We're fine, aren't we? Animals live and grow and die and eat and grow and die and eat. What about it?
I think for the first time in my life, I am saddened to talk about eating the flesh of animals. This is very unlike you. I'm very worried about how you've changed. How are we? I've been puzzling for some time since we left the ice rail, and how can we serve the Magus without the parts of ourselves that matter the most? I feel that you are now quite the shell of a kind soul that you once were, and it is very unsettling.
I don't even know why I'm still traveling with the Magus. I am very, very much considering going another way.
Vago, we need you.
What for? You just want me to eat salt? Is that what everyone wants of me?
No, I fear that if you ate too much salt, you would turn into one of these little beings. Oxidized and robotic.
Well, I'm glad that their owners know to dispose of them when they are no longer useful.
Vago,
I feel like my use is spent.
Vago, you have so much to give, and we would miss you if you left us. I would miss you. You've been a great confidant. You held on to my secrets. And I don't think, you are the last I have of Mistwood.
Yeah. I suppose you were that for me. But
And
I doesn't warm my heart.
Then, if I may be selfish, which again is apt of my nature, would you continue on with us so that I may feel some semblance of home? For with you are honestly the last thing I have of home. I gave up my being. I don't recall much at all of Mistwood these days. In fact, the few times that I've caught your eye on the ship, well, they have been the last catalyst I have of recalling what the snow felt like on my fur and the sounds of my kin. And I truly do not know if I could continue without you.
Well, I will stay, but I do not know what I'm meant to be doing at this. I don't know. I feel like everything is wrong. And if I can, maybe I'm meant to make some right for you. I don't know. Does not bring me joy though.
Something in my being, I don't know why, is telling me that I should give this to you. And I think Hop produces like the broken compass from their pocket and unwraps it from a handkerchief and hands it out to Vago and says, I fear this does little for me, for the thing that gave this to me said that I could use it to find home, but I cannot get it to work. And I feel that it's partially because I have no home anymore. But I feel like if you take this, you might be able to find your own home, whatever that is, whether it is Mistwood or your old self. But like compasses point north, drawn to the magnetic force of the poles. I feel drawn to give this to you.
I'll take it, but maybe one day it'll be useful, but you've just given me a piece of crap, to be honest. I don't. Thanks.
And to be fair, maybe it is a piece of crap as you put it, but it is worth the chance, I think. And worst case scenario, you carry a piece of crap around with you.
Yeah. Vago like sculls a big jug of ale and is tiring of having some sort of emotional conversation with another person. Feeling very frustrated.
Well, I shall turn in and leave you to your rabbit stew.
Yeah.
Take care, Vago.
Yeah. And he just grunts and like looks back at his food and keeps eating, trying not to let these thoughts invade his mind.
Oh, Vago.
I've got an idea for a follow-up scene, if that's all right.
Awesome.
Cool. So I think Justice is it wasn't really shown that she was there in that scene, but as Harp gets up and leaves, you see there's a hooded like figure in one of the other seats kind of behind, and you see she lifts her face up and Justice is there. And I think as Vargo's kind of busy finishing off all the other bowls of food and almost finished drinks at the table, Justice walks past and kind of palms the compass, like she takes the compass and kind of walks out into like the evening, and you see her kind of, there's a small bazaar, like, you know, tents and markets, kind of night market thing going on in this little, like, it's not a very big place, but I guess there's little workshops and stuff here because the Mentor's got to maintain these little creatures, and I guess there's little foundries and stuff like that. But I think Justice makes her way towards this big tent that's at the center of it all. That's the Maker's tent. It looks kind of like a small circus tent, but it's got all these kind of welded like copper chimneys, and there's like puffs of different colored like steam and stuff all coming out of the top of it. And she opens the door up, and the Maker's in there, kind of I think as Harp comes in, the Maker's in there stroking the head of one of those little like automaton creatures, and I think maybe he as he's stroking it, he kind of quickly pulls a part out and jams a part back in, and the thing kind of like squeaks, like maybe steam comes out of its ears, and like then, but it's kind of done so quickly it calms down again, and the Maker kind of picks up the little thing and like pushes it off, and I think the Maker looks over at Justice, and they're like, "Oh, you're back so soon. I didn't know if you didn't seem to think you'd be able to get it." And Justice is like, "Yeah, I bought it. Like, how did you even know that that my friends were carrying this thing?" And the Mentor's like, "Oh, I've got lots of little friends in the world out there," and the Maker looks over, and there's you see the little kind of tarnished automaton from earlier on, like sitting on the side of the tent, and I'm going to roll and see what actually happens here, because it's got a little rolling thing. Damn it!
The steam coming out of their ears was adorable.
I rolled a 5. If I was rolling a 6, I was going to the 6 is called the Cure. I was going to try to make it something that would help either Vargo or Harp in some way, but instead I think it will still be fixed. Yeah, I think the Maker takes the compass and looks at it and kind of looks disappointed. He's like, when I sent my little friend out into the world, I thought this would find its way to someone that could use it, but I actually kind of bangs it. He's like, it doesn't really seem to be working properly. And I think he gets out something that to Justice looks like it's a wand or something, but I think to our eyes it's actually like some sort of it's like a cordless drill. It's kind of like and fixes and kind of pulls together this this compass, and he's like, I still don't know if it'll work the way that it's meant to, but he's like, give it I know what he does. He's like, I'm gonna add something to this, and he's like fixes more of it up, and he winds it up and pops it open, and it's like the little those ballerina jewelry boxes. It's kind of like one of those. It opens up, and there's a little I think it's a fox and a giant, and they're spinning around each other, and it's that song that that little song that Mark was singing to Elamira earlier on. It's like the melody of that song, and the mentor's like, yeah, this might help to fix things, and puts it back in Justice's hands, and yeah, Justice kind of walks off with it. Yeah,
That was beautiful.
Oh my god, so cute.
So let's see some Raven. Oh, this could be really cool with the like a lot of these are cool actually, but potentially it's just exciting me with Elamira rediscovering herself in terms of like, I guess, rediscovering her calling and stuff as well. But anyway, I'm excited to see whatever you do.
I'm going to roll some dice because I haven't played a role-playing game for like 2.5 weeks, you guys. So might as well play one now, with dice and shit. I rolled 2d6. The Mender's tent, when Elamira comes upon it, is at a different time to when Justice does. And she doesn't come across the automatons. She comes across a section where there are some of the slaves have been unloaded, and they're sick or injured and sitting on the beach. And some of them are like, in fact, one of them's coughing, and it's the old guy that we saw under decks, and he's coughing and heaving up blood with his coughs. And Elamira runs to his side, and she says, "Marcus, what's happening?" And he says, "The Grandmother Black doesn't require slaves that can't work for her." And he breaks into this heaving cough and like spits some blood up on Elamira's knee as she kneels in the sand next to him. And she puts her hand on his head, and she can feel the heat coming off it, and her hand gets like covered in sweat. And she's like, the Soltaire's no good for him. We need to get him higher up into the island. And she like looks around, and everyone around her is injured or incapacitated, and she starts like trying to drag Marcus across the sand, and she just like leaves this. As she starts dragging him, it's okay, but he like accumulates sand and gets harder and harder to pull. And so she runs out of the tent, and she's looking around the beach, and she's like, she spots someone, the only person that could really help her to move him up the beach so easily. She's like, "Fargo, get over here!" And she's like just waving. She's like, "Fargo, come on!"
He stands up and walks quite slowly over to Elamira, like not quite sure if he's gonna get yelled at. And
she's like, "Run, you giant fuck! Get over here!"
He walks a little bit faster. And he gets there eventually.
And she just like grabs his clothes and like can't really pull him because he's so large, but she starts to lead him, and she gets to Marcus's body, and she's like, "Grab him, scoop him up, come on, we're going up into the mountain." Or up into the island, sorry.
Vargo just picks him up, hoiks him over his shoulder, like just on autopilot.
And let's see what happens with roll 1d6, shall we? Oh boy, sightless. So
Remember, you can give this to yourself or another player if they agree to.
Revenge.
It can be metaphorical sightlessness as well.
yeah, I think. Oh man. Oh, all right. We'll play it and we'll see where it goes. So like up into the forested and rocky area off the beach, Elamira like smells the air and she just can't get that much salt in her, and she says, "Okay, Vargo, you can put him down here. Put him somewhere. I think she like pulls leaves off ferns, pulls like the big ferny things off and makes like a bed for him that props up against a tree. She's like, "Come on, Vargo, you can put him down now."
He drops him onto the ferns. Lump.
And Elamira looks up with like her hand on Vargo's arm. And she says, "Thank you. You did something really good for someone today. This man could be dead if not for you. I'm so grateful, Vargo. I'm so grateful."
Vargo's confused and steps back, kind of trying to like process why someone would be grateful for saving someone's life. It just seems foreign, and then he sees the emotion in Elamira's face and the situation that her friend's in, and he just sits down like on the ground, and he kind of is a bit frozen and confused.
And she says, "Vargo, the reason that I'm the Raven, the reason that being born when I was is so important is that I can see things that other people can't. I can see the best and the worst of everyone. And I can see what becomes of our immortal hearts when we die. That's why I spent so much time with Justice. Because, I mean, she's made some mistakes, but I don't think there's anyone better out there." And she like puts both her hands on your big chest, and she says, "It's still in you, Vargo. It never left. You just forgot about it for a little bit. I'm sure you'll find it." And she walks over to Marcus, who's laying there. And she breathes like really deep and says, "But I haven't been able to see it for a while. This sea is taking its toll on me. Or maybe magic's just dying faster than we thought. But," and she like, Marcus is like, his eyes are closed and there's blood trailing down his cheek. And she says, I'm sorry, Marcus. I can't see where you're going. But I hope it's somewhere good. And I hope that we'll meet you again. I hope we'll both meet you again." And she like looks back over her shoulder to Vargo and she says, "Because if you go to the same place that this big old giant does, well, you've gone somewhere real special."
Vargo stands up and is looking at this small, fragile, bald-headed human, and like, there's no reason why she should be so kind to him after what he did. And he just takes his giant hand and holds her hand.
Oh, Vargo. Thank you, Alan.
You're a jerk.
I am deaf, taking sightless.
Cool. So I think I would like to draw the card that I think we'll stop in a second and do a little bit of debriefing and finish for the night. But I think I'd like to draw the.
I want to play forever.
I'm always worried when we start each one that we're not going to be able to get back to get the characters again and get back to where we were, and then every time we're like, yes. But I'd quite like to draw the card maybe just so we know where we're, because this is our last chance to see if we'll get sucked into. We've got a 1 in 10 chance of ending up in the depths of the earth still. So it would be kind of cool to know where
Then we
we're
can
going.
play forever.
So, and I guess, yeah, let's see. I'll deal it to you, Sid. Oh, wait. Yeah.
All right.
And you tell me, we'll decide who'll do it next time, I guess. Deal 1 card to Sid. Bloop.
So I click it.
Yeah.
What do I do? Drag it onto the page?
No, just click it, the one above your little icon thing,
Yep.
and tell me what it is, and then I'll.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just loading. Oh, fucking tension. The ice flow. The
Ooh, it's
falling
not-
temperature.
So it's not the
No, I was going to do it as a gag, but honestly, this is too cool.
yeah.
Guys, there's one called Whistling Flats, How You Keep Warm. I know how I keep warm, Justice.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a question in this one. What hates the mages?
Ooh.
Yeah, that looks fun. That looks like a pretty cool thing to lead us towards the end. Oh my god, we're so close to the end now.
We can't rush it.
No, we won't. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Bye everyone!